And Richie Wood has done it again! The magic man has come up with another trick! Well, here's a chance to seal it! It's done! It's Georgie Kelly! Rotherham United's pathway back to the Championship is opening up!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Thank you all for being with us. England back to being at their boring best. Boring, I mean. Very boring. We'll cover that. Maybe a little bit of Rotherham news to pick up, Mick. Maybe, if we can.
Really?
Well, we can talk about FA Cup draw. That's happening on Monday. That's about it. Just me and Mick so far tonight. Danny may be joining us later on. Hopefully, we'll see. Thank you all who are with us so far. Any highlights over the past few days, Mick? We'll start there again. Try and find some positivity where there is little.
Yeah.
Highlights.
Yeah, I went to your designer outlet this morning. That were all right. Other than that,
Does that mean you missed the Belgium-Morocco game as well?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, you should know. Drake World Cup. No plans any morning.
Yeah, mate. Listen, I live in real world, though, unfortunately. Much as I try to escape it. So, yeah. Okay. No highlights for me, really, particularly that I can think of off the top of my head. Although I'm sure you're going to remind me of some that I should have remembered.
Well, I'm just going to say about Wales. To be honest with you, I'm wary of laughing too much because they can technically still knock us out. Technically, realistically can't. But that, we're around. Well, Iran were brilliant. To be fair, I don't know. I too much within working hours for you, but Iran was superb, and Wales were just. That was one of the worst. I know, excluding Costa Rica getting spanked 7-0. That's one of the worst team performances of the tournament so far. Wales, they were absolutely abysmal. Yeah,
absolutely. They were dreadful and got everything that they deserved out of that game. And people, particularly Welsh people, but a lot of English people as well, bang on about Gareth Bale and tell us what a wonderful, wonderful footballer he is. However, he just disappears. If he was that good and he was that committed to his country, then he'd put some effort in, and he doesn't. So from that point of view, I have absolutely zero sympathy, because there are players within that team who are giving absolutely everything, with relatively speaking, minimal talent from a World Cup point of view. And yet there's him with all the talent in the world and not really willing to pull his socks up and help his team and his country out. I think for me it epitomizes his attitude towards the game. Poor, really poor.
I don't think it's fit. I think turning up against Ukraine in the state they were in is completely different to turn up at the World Cup. He's not from a fitness point of view, a mental state. I'm not going to comment on it. It probably isn't still. But we talked about the Qatar before after their embarrassment in the first game. They've had 6 months without a professional game. It's all been friendlies. For me, Gareth Bale is exactly the same. It looked like he'd not played. It looks like he's not played football for. Well, he hasn't really, has he? For 2 years or whatever it's been. And for me, it's showing massively.
Not to any particular level, no. But that doesn't stop him putting in the work. And he seems to point blank refuse to put in the work. But I can tell you something. I bet he put it in on Tuesday.
Of course he will.
When it's too late.
It's not just him though. For Aaron Ramsey were a complete shadow of his former self as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way he should be playing in that team.
No,
he's definitely not anymore. Both games that Wales have played, Aaron Ramsey's been extremely poor. So yeah, they got what they deserved. But I said on this podcast 3 or 4 times now, we really don't want to be going into that game against Wales needing something out of it. And unfortunately, we could do with something out of it.
Yeah, we could do. And yeah, so the stand is basically, I'll talk about the England game in a minute because there's plenty of negativity to cover from that game. But the basics are England are through unless we lose 4-0 to Wales. And as I've said to other people, if you lose 4-0 to Wales, you deserve to go out of a tournament. You don't deserve to get through to the quarterfinals. So, I think England are basically through. It would take a miracle for England not to be through. Wales have to win and hope that Iran draw with America to put them through. So there's a lot of moving parts for Wales. This is what happens when you play like that for a game and a half. This is what you get from a Wales point of view. Other than 45 minutes against America, they were god awful.
Yeah.
I did say they would finish bottom of the group, by the way.
Yeah, you did.
Podcast. Danny also said Qatar would be the dark horses, and they're out already. So it swings and roundabouts on this podcast, to be honest with you. Yeah. I'm very happy for the Iranian players. Obviously, they've had their issues with other stuff, but it just meant so much to it. That, for me, that's what the World Cup's about. A team that don't win many games on a major stage, picking up a last-minute winner against Gareth Bale's Wales, because that's how they'll view it. The celebrations and everything else were just special.
Yeah, and they've fully deserved it as well. Absolutely deserved it. And I'm sure they'll see Americans off as well, to be honest. I'm pretty sure they will. So I feel a little bit for Qatar. I don't was that Qatar game after the last podcast. I think it was, wasn't it?
The Senegal one.
Yeah. How they didn't get a penalty given. I think it was the first half. I can't remember. An absolute carbon copy of the penalty that was given against Ronaldo. Or for Ronaldo. An absolute carbon copy of it. It could have almost been the same incident, and it goes to VAR and it's not given. And I find it utterly remarkable that. But anyway, there you go. That changed the game. That absolutely changed the game, that incident. And they were doing all right up to that point, I think, Qatar, and could possibly have got something out of it. It was on a bit of a knife edge, and then that kind of knocked stuffing out of them a little bit. But, if they got a goal up, happy days.
It's got no defence, have they? That's the problem.
No, absolutely.
Defense.
Absolutely. But anyway, that's another story. They're out now, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
Not really, no. Got your YouTuber, Dave Lawton, Paul Brock says, hello, Matt Mick, and everybody. Simon Thorne says, after being bullish on the last two shows, he's now prepared to accept that Wales may not make the quarterfinals. Yes, right. Good of you to admit that, Simon.
It's hanging by a thread, that now, Simon.
Yeah, it is. Let's just move to Rotherham for 5 minutes, Mick. Let's have a quick Rotherham chat. J-Boy says, I really like the fact that Taylor's taken them away on a pre-season, mid-season. But yeah, thankfully, fantastic, and hopefully pays off. Looks like it's gone really well. Obviously, we can only talk about the content of the club out, which again has been very, very good, much like it was in pre-season. Warm with the train. It's what you don't need it, but obviously it just gives you an extra spring in your step, I suppose.
Yeah, it does, absolutely, and it's like what real professional clubs do, isn't it? Look at us moving into 21st century or whenever it is. It's good, like it, and I'm sure they will have got a lot of benefit out of it, and they're going to come back. Obviously, I think tonight they're due back, and then another 2 weeks with the team before we start playing football again. So it's a really good time for us. It's come at a really good time for us. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see the benefits of it once the season resumes.
Yeah. So if you've watched the content, you'll basically be able to hear the updates. It sounds like we're playing Sheffield United in a friendly on Friday. All this will be behind closed doors. Sheffield United in a friendly on Friday, and I think Bolton the following week. I think he said Tuesday in one of the videos. Because you can't just jump straight back in. It's important to also get a couple of games. 4 weeks is a long time without playing football. So we're interested to see the restart is for everybody.
How are they going to be playing Bolton? I thought Bolton is still in the middle of their league campaign, are they not?
Yeah, but they're back behind closed doors game, won't it? So they'll just play. Maybe probably won't even be a full team, to be honest with you. But he definitely said Bolton.
Right.
Don't know. He may have misspoke. I don't know.
Who knows?
But yeah. That's realistic. That's all they do. I'll mention Mick. Tommy did his interview last week, And he mentioned about bringing in a permanent mid-season break. It's been he's obviously enjoyed it because his pre-season was poor because of your injury. How much in favour would you be of a month a season? Scotland already do it. They probably sort of do it already for a couple of weeks. How would you feel about bringing in a permanent mid-season break?
My issue with it is that on the run-up to this World Cup, we've had a fixture congestion, significant fixture congestion. All it takes is a bit of bad weather or an illness or whatever, and all of a sudden your fixtures are piling up throughout the season. So I'm not a fan, if I'm honest. And from a selfish point of view, I can't stand having 4 weeks without football.
I agree.
Proper football.
Proper football. Yeah. I mean, that FA Cup second round don't float your boat.
Not really, not particularly. Not this year.
No. We do have the FA Cup third round draw, apologies, on Monday evening. We will be live doing like a watch along type thing for that. So if you want to join us, it will be on YouTube, Facebook, as usual. Yeah. Who do you fancy, Mick? I've done a bit of full list of who we want, who we don't want. Basically, any championship teams, we don't want them because why would we want a championship team? Any Premier League team at home, any of them, I'll take any of them at home.
Yeah.
And then basically League One and most League One teams, with the exception of Derby. And I put Wednesday on the don't want list as well. I know the people may want that because it's a derby and everything else, but let's let them deal with the League One and let's meet them in a couple of years' time at Championship when they finally make it up. Yeah,
I don't want Wednesday. I definitely don't want Wednesdays. I don't want United. I don't want Barnsley. I don't want a local derby. Tottenham away would be brilliant. I'd love to go back to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's a fantastic place to watch football. So, yeah, Tottenham away for me. I fancy that. Or, like you said, just another any other Premier League club at home. But I think Simon Thorne's just put it in the comments. I think that's written in the stars.
Yeah, Derby. Yeah, I feel like it's written in the stars. Yeah. I won't mind Barnsley. We haven't played Barnsley in quite a long time. So Barnsley, I know you don't want local derby. I won't mind Barnsley. Chesterfield have made it to the third round as well. Non-league Chesterfield have made it through. Again, that it'd be a local derby that's got a bit of summit to it, which we hopefully should win as well. Not many non-league teams have made it through. The only couple I could find are Wrexham and Boreham Wood. Again, I may have missed some. But for third round, that doesn't seem as many as we normally. We normally get quite a lot, don't we? We only get 5 or 6. Yeah,
usually, yeah. And Wrexham getting through is not really much of a surprise, is it, to be fair?
No.
So
Dagenham are still in, but they've got to play Gillingham yet. So
yeah.
But again, you don't. That's not a particularly exciting non-league team, for honest with you.
No, it's not particularly. We'll have to wait and see. It's always good. I love third round at FA Cup. I'm a big fan of it. Big fan.
The draw's almost as good as the actual weekend itself.
Yeah.
The draw is, your options are limitless until the draw comes out, it feels, and then you get Charlton away or something stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get a dog awful tie, won't we, and lose. So that's generally what happens.
Yeah. It seems Spurs now seem to be the one to get, doesn't it? Because every you look on Twitter and everything, most of the clubs want Spurs away. Obviously, it's brand new stadium. Right? It's probably the reason why.
Yeah. I'll take Arsenal away.
Yeah.
Assuming they'll let Brook Norton Cuffy play, that'd be.
Well, they wouldn't.
They might do. You never know.
You won't know. Maybe not. So you take what? You take Arsenal away. Maybe Chelsea away.
Yeah, I'll have a bit of Chelsea. Yeah.
We don't particularly want Palace, Brighton, Everton, Fulham away. Again, take any of them at home.
Yeah.
Leicester, I think Leicester away might be quite an interesting one.
Yeah,
they're beatable. They won't take it particularly seriously.
No, that's right.
So it's a chance of an upset. Don't want Newcastle away just because it's too far up the stairs.
No, definitely not.
And then you obviously don't want Southampton away, obviously.
No,
because it's too far. Dave Pearce says probably like him, Spurs are the only established team that has never seen the Millers play, unless you want to be the last tie. Yeah, have we ever played Spurs before?
I not to my knowledge, I don't think we have.
I need to look at that because that seems like strange, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, certainly in my lifetime, I can't ever remember playing Spurs ever. So I hope you're not going back down to 1825 or whatever it is.
We have played them once. And you were alive, Mick, but you would have been quite little, I suppose, in 1972.
72? Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We lost 2-0, obviously.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. Surprising, because we're in the third round a lot. We're in the League Cup a lot, which they have as well.
Yeah.
We played Arsenal a reasonable amount of time. You quite a lot in the a few times, haven't we?
Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. Anything else FA Cup related?
Not really.
Rather related. It's just struggling, isn't it?
It hasn't started yet, has it? So once it gets going, it'll be quite interesting.
Yeah. Paul Brock says, "I'm sure my mum said she hit a Spurs fan with her handbag." Okay.
Welcome to Red Room.
Brilliant. Right, okay. I've been putting it off. Let's move on to England.
Oh, Benny, can we not manage to get another 20 minutes out of Rotherham United stuff, even though we haven't played for 3 weeks, instead of talking about this?
If you can think of anything to talk about, yes. But it doesn't look like it. All our predictions were wrong. We all went goal wins to 0, except Tom went 3-1. So we all went positive. How long into the game, Mick, did you realise that it was going to be one of them days? Because it was quite obvious early on that it probably was going to be quite dull.
Yeah, pretty quickly, really. Pretty quickly. I mean, it's really, really difficult to be positive about any of it. You know, I sat watching the game thinking, well, maybe he's just trying to keep his powder dry for knockout stages, and give players a rest and whatever. I don't know. I was just clutching at straws generally to understand why, really, just why, because it would like all the energy, enthusiasm, talent had just been sapped out of us right from minute one. There was just nothing in the game, and when you bring Jordan Henderson on, and he becomes the bright spark of the team.
Yeah, it is.
That's the point at which things aren't going well. It's I don't know. It feels like, and I know this is stupid, and I know it's not true, but it just feels like some old fuddy-duddy in a suit at the FA has rung up Gareth Southgate and said, "What are you doing beating Iran 6-2? This is not the way England play. Sort it out. We don't want to see this sort of extravagant behaviour and extravagant football. Go back to what we do best." You know what I mean? Don't give the supporters, the fans, don't allow them to see that we've got this talent. We don't want them to see it. That's just how, I know it's ridiculous. I know but you know what I mean? It just feels like you're given a taste of what we're capable of, and then all of a sudden we go, but you can't have that.
Okay. I mean, America are clearly a better team than we gave them credit for against Wales. Their energy causes problems, which is a bit of a worry. I'm disappointed that we didn't have the same energy, because we didn't have anywhere near as much energy as America, which is a problem within itself. But from a flip side, is you can't go your whole tournament playing well every game. It doesn't happen. History tells you this. Italy, I think, drew to America in 2006. Spain lost their opening game in 2010 and went on to storm the tournament. 2014, Germany, I think, drew to Ghana. You're never going to have, look at the Euros 2 years ago. We were awful at exactly the same game, the middle game against Scotland. We were dog meat. Yeah. And then we obviously made it to the final. So I suppose we can't read too much into it, but it's just, we've got to watch it, and that's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, there's no point getting annoyed and frustrated about it. There's no point kind of throw it baby out with bathwater, really. You know, it's not the end of the world by any stretch of imagination. It's just not. But it's just, it's what it is disappointing. It's disappointing in the sense that we've got so much talent within that squad, so much of it, and we've allowed them, we've either instructed them or allowed them to play 50, 60 minutes between Harry Maguire and John Stones. Just, I mean, it was just, I felt like opening a vein. It was just awful because it just, please at least pass it to somebody else. But they couldn't because there was zero movement. There was no movement at all. The only person to come out of that midfield realistically with any credit was Bellingham, who did try to drop a little bit deep to try and get something going, but it just, nothing happened. And I know America put 11 men behind the ball. Essentially, they just basically parked the bus and tried to hit us on break, which could have been successful a couple of times. You know, they created a couple of opportunities, but we are so much better than that. So much better than that. And the coaches stand there on the touchline and don't do anything to change it. That also is frustrating.
Yeah, the changes were positive, and like you said, Jordan Henderson came on and made an impact. Yes, I agree. That's maybe a concern that he's having to come on to make that impact.
Yeah.
But Grealish came on, and I thought Grealish was instantly a spark. He drew 4 players to him, so there was instantly space. Instantly, Sterling couldn't do it all game. Paul Brock says here, Mason Mount was very poor. He had that one shot in the first half, which was a good shot. But that was it. They didn't do anything else the rest of the game. Saka was incredibly quiet. Had a good start, but then incredibly quiet for the rest of the game. The subs were too little, and they were too late as well.
Yeah.
But then we've seen it before. For example, Jack Grealish in England shirt. If you start him, it doesn't always have the same impact. He's great when he comes on for half an hour to go, right, just put him ragged, just pull him out of position, off you go. Yeah. And to an extent, it worked. It just weren't enough, were it?
No, it weren't. And there was nobody else helping him.
No,
even when he came on and injected that bit of a spark, and as did Jordan Henderson. Again, I can't believe I'm saying it, but he did. Well, that's not a criticism of Jordan Henderson. That is not his role. That is not his job.
He was the lead press at one point in the second half.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, for a start,
doing it, were they? So
yeah, I would argue it's a lack of leadership on the pitch.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I know Paul's just mentioned Mason Mount being very poor, and he wasn't in the game. I thought Harry Kane were diabolical. I thought he was dreadful. He seemed to want 10 minutes every time he got the ball. He couldn't turn, he couldn't pass, he couldn't see what was going on around him. You know, he was dropping deeper and deeper trying to collect the ball, and then when he did get the ball, he didn't know what to do with it.
He had nobody running though, did he? There was no movement beyond him. So whenever he got the ball, because there was nobody drawing the defenders away, he had 3 men on him. He had 2 men on him every single time.
Yeah. But nevertheless, still taking far too much time to release the ball. It was just a really, really poor performance from the start to the finish. To be fair, never really looked like scoring, did we?
Well, we had the chances, didn't we? Where Saka in the first half who blazed it over at bar. I think Kane had a chance as well, which I think was blocked. Or header was blocked in the first half. It was fine. It was okay. It was at best okay. We could be sitting here top of the group, done. You know, sailing off into the sunset, making 8 changes for the final group game, which obviously we can't now do. Simon Thorne says, could be worse. We could be Belgians. That's true. Yeah. It's very, very true. Chris Wright says, England midfield looked crap until Grealish came on. Yeah, I thought Rashford came on. Again, too late. 12 minutes left. But I thought Rashford were good. I thought, again, he had that. He used his pace. Sterling never used his pace, and Saka never really used it. But Grealish and Rashford were happy just to bomb on.
Yeah,
and that's where we got more joy. And maybe, obviously, got tired legs at that point, I suppose. But they just look better when those come on. Now, the big talking point of selection is not always a talking point. is what Paul Brock mentions here. He said, I know everybody has said it, but should Foden have played? Southgate excuse valid for not playing him. Now, obviously, Foden didn't come on. I think he came out in the Iran game, didn't he? I'm maybe going to go against most of Twitter and social media, so I can completely understand why Southgate's not playing him. I think Gary Neville would describe Foden as a generational talent, and I think that's possibly true, or may end up being true. But for England, he's not played well. I don't think he's played well once in an England shirt. And it's all right saying, yeah, he is amazing. I think he's got 10 goal involvements for City this season. I mean, I think Mason Mount's got 8, so it's not amazing. It's not ripping the world apart. Yeah, maybe we could have done with him, but is Grealish more effective? For me, Grealish is much more effective at what he does at that stage in the game. I would probably like to see Foden, but I don't mind him not playing over Grealish, for example. I
can't believe I'm hearing it, to be honest. I'm gobsmacked. I'm really surprised. I mean, I can't believe Gareth Southgate's had the audacity to say something like that, quite frankly. I can't. I don't understand it. And this harks back to what I've said before. You know, we find an incredibly talented player and we sit him on bench. We just sit him on bench, we leave him, and we'll play anybody over him. We'll play Raheem Sterling, who I have got no issue with, none whatsoever. He's an excellent player, but he's coming towards the back end of his career. Yeah, he's experienced at England level.
27.
Well, yeah, well, that's a fair comment, actually. Yeah, yeah. Either way, he's a decent player, but he is no Phil Foden. He's just experienced. You've got Mason Mount, who I genuinely, and I said this the other day, and I know Tom corrected me, and he was probably right in terms of the Iran game. I've no concept or understanding as to what he brings to the team. I genuinely haven't. I cannot get my head around the fact that the talent that Phil Foden is, and to say, you know, he's never done it for England. I'll be honest, has he ever played for England?
I was about to check now, see how many caps he's got.
You know, he's been on for 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. We don't give a chance. Say again.
19 caps.
19 caps. And I bet if he's got 90 minutes out of those 19 caps, I'll be surprised. Not acceptable, not good enough for me, in my view. I don't know. I'm not a football manager, to quote Ben, but I genuinely can't get my head around it. And it goes back to what I've said before. You know, we have all these incredibly talented players, and before we allow them to be regulars in the England squad, we have to beat the talent out of them first. Get him on the pitch, let him play, let him do his thing.
No, that's not the England team at the minute, though, is it?
It's not the England way. It's never been the England way.
Danny's with us. We'll get Danny's view on it. Danny is joining us. How are you going, Danny?
I've legit just walked through the door, lads, and I'm knackered. My granddad is like an energy sap. Thank Christ I've had a coffee, or else I'd be on the floor.
Well, you walked in on the most heated part of the episode so far.
Oh, brilliant.
Phil Foden is the topic of conversation. Thoughts? So Mick basically saying that he's you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mick, he is a brilliant player, and because he's a brilliant player, he should be in the team. My counter-argument is that he has never done it for England, and although he is an amazing player, I'm not playing down how good he is, because I think he could go on to be one of England's greatest players if he continues on the same trajectory. But he has never done it for England, whereas the other players who played did. Discuss.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest, lads, I didn't see the vast majority of the second half because I was outside. Because it was such a dull opening 10, 15 minutes to the second half, whatever it was. Just like, just go outside and have a chat with my mate. But I have seen the reaction on social media, and apparently the game was absolutely crying out for Foden and a bit of his creativity and his pace going forwards in that three behind the centre forward. And from what I saw in the first half, at least, yeah, I agree. I thought we played it far too safe against the US. It was definitely a case of try not to lose rather than go out and win, because I think that was more of our bogey game, if you like. And now we've got it all to do against the Welsh, and I think Foden would probably come in to start against Wales. Probably that might be why he didn't get played against the US, for safety or whatever. But from what I saw, yeah, I thought Foden could have definitely made an impact.
And also, I'm obviously going to try and back up my own point. But we were all having this exact same conversation 2 years ago about Jack Grealish, and you know who was playing in front of Jack Grealish? It was Phil Foden, and he weren't doing anything for England at Euros. And we're having the same conversation about somebody again. I think Foden should have come on for Mount. I'm not saying he shouldn't have come on, but I understand Southgate's logic in doing that. But I think I may have over defended him there, Mick. If you want.
Oh, you a City fan in disguise.
The bottom line is we need to give players like Phil Foden his head and let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go. And we just don't seem to do it. And I don't understand why. Other countries do.
Yeah, they do. I have. Yeah, again, I'm going to have have we got a strong enough defence to say just go and do your own thing? We need to be more solid than that, don't we?
I'm not suggesting you say you say it to the other 7 players.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But certainly somebody like Foden, we're saying it to Jack Grealish when he comes on.
True.
Have a run at players. Commit players. So, yeah, the manager has a plan. They're not going to come to a World Cup and after 4 years not have a plan as to what they're expecting. It's just a little bit frustrating for the rest of us who don't know what that plan is, and then watch that game, and you've got to make your best guess what the plan is. Well, from looking at that, it's just trying to bore the life out of every England fan. I hope that nobody is still aware to criticise them on social media, because just send us all to sleep, doesn't it?
Just getting everybody else, it's lowering the rest of the 31 other nations, lowering into a false sense of security.
Yeah.
It's in Germany.
About the Nations League as well, lure them into a false sense of security.
And get relegated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. YouTube viewer says we'll not win anything with this manager. And Chris Wright says Southgate has got his favourites, unfortunately. I mean, he's technically England's second most successful manager ever. He's got to a semi-final and a final, which is more than anybody else has ever done.
I have no issue with Gareth Southgate. I don't, and I know that people do, and that's it's a matter of opinion, really, ultimately, isn't it? But his record, like you said there, kind of speaks for itself. In terms of where he's managed to get us. That's not the issue. It's the game plan. We have too many of these kinds of games.
I think he's bad for being stuck in a game plan. I think once he's got something, I don't think he's very good at changing it. Or if he is, he takes 20 minutes on sideline talking about it. He needs to be better and quicker at changing games and changing his decision, maybe being a bit more pragmatic. But again, how can you criticise when it worked? Other than a penalty kick, we're talking about a European Championship winning team, aren't we? So it's difficult because we're second game in. There's lots of people jumping the gun in terms of Southgate when he's got a lot more. He should have a lot more credit in the bank, but I am aware of how football fans are. Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah. It was just poor. It's difficult. It's one of those games, and it's difficult to pick anything else out. You literally didn't miss anything. You could have told us you watched the game, and we wouldn't have known any different because nothing happened for the rest of the game. Anything else? I mean, we're going ending early this part of the thing, but anything else you two want to bring from the game, because it's difficult, isn't it?
I think we can all agree it's actually called football and not soccer, and that's about it.
Yeah, they would have had to win for it to be called soccer, I think. Still never beaten America in a tournament. 2 draws and a loss in the 50s. Paul Brock says he disagrees, thinks Southgate will get us further in a tournament as proven so. Yeah, it's going to be patient. I know it's frustrating, but it's difficult with major tournaments. But then you look at other teams. You look at the Germany of Argentina have done the Belgians. If that's our hiccup, grand. That's great. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
No, you're right, and it could well be every team's going to have a bad game. There's no question about that. Belgium have had 2. So you're absolutely right. and it probably is just a hiccup. It's a bit frustrating. That's all because of the nature of it. You know, it wasn't a game where we suffered lots and lots of bad luck, or you know, or that. It was just a game where we showed absolutely no ambition at all, and that's a kind of a basic, isn't it? You know,
yeah, it should be.
If we'd done a Canada and had 23 attempts on goal and not hit goal once, at least it shows some ambition.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But we didn't.
I mean, they get pumped 4-1 by an average Croatia team today.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I watched some of it. I watched some of it, and I thought that perhaps that scoreline flattered Croatia because Canada were trying to get themselves back in the game, weren't they? But I mean, at least they scored a goal, which is unbelievable, really.
I basically celebrated that. I thought it were amazing. They were good to watch, weren't they? I know they got pumped, but they were good to watch. They're enjoyable to watch. Good
value, absolutely. Yeah. My team at tournament so far, Canada. My new favourite team.
Yeah, my new favourite team, big time.
Definitely.
One thing I like about it, they've got all these fast, quick players. They've got Alphonso Davies, and I can't remember who number 11 were, but he was superb again today. But then, very Englishly, they've got a 39-year-old just pottering around central midfield. It just reminded me a bit like Darren Potter, just pottering around the midfield. It was fine, but it just didn't feel very Canadian or continental, but very English, which I quite liked. Paul Brock says we didn't lose the game; it was just boring game. Before Friday, we're booking the seats for the final. Yeah. And I also think the Wales game on Friday morning also got us even a little bit higher because we knew what we needed to do. It was set, ready to go. Essentially, not Wales out almost. There we go. Belgium's. We'll talk about a couple of the games. Belgium's. I've got it all to do, which is funny because they lost to Morocco 2-0. And then that group set up really, really nicely, isn't it? Have you seen that group?
I've not had a look at that.
Croatia on 4, Morocco on 4, Belgium on 3. Belgium have got to play Croatia in the last game. I think that's right. Yeah. Belgium, Croatia. So Morocco just need a point to go through. From that group is brilliant.
How can Belgium be so bad when they've got the best defender in the history of football playing for them? Remarkable scenes.
Ooh.
What do you mean, who? How can you not know who the best defender in the history of the whole of football ever is? I'm amazed.
Please enlighten us.
Go on.
Do you know what? I'm going to shut up now.
Is it because Vincent Cummings retired?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Sorry, mate.
I didn't clock it either, Matt. Well, that might be because I'm tired, but anyway.
Group E's wide open as well. Spain on 4 points. Japan losing to Costa Rica, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Football's amazing sometimes, isn't it?
It's great, isn't it? It's just amazing. And then Germany sit on 1 point. Germany need to beat Costa Rica to go through. A point will probably be enough for Costa Rica, bearing in mind Spain will probably beat Japan. So you could end up with, well, it's anyone, Japan, Costa Rica, or Germany to go through probably in second place. It's just great. I'm so all over. This World Cup, football-wise, has been amazing. There's so many stories. Mick, do you want to have your Messi moment? Talk about Mr. Messi scoring Saturday night?
Yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't see it again. Sorry.
Sorry, you were just doing a football podcast about World Cup. I just assumed you might have.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I'm not able to watch 4 games a day every day. Although having said that, I'm back at work tomorrow, so that's guaranteed. I'll be all right. I'll be all right for the rest of the week watching them all.
Tomorrow's the last day of 4 different kickoff times as well.
What is tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Oh,
from Tuesday. It's 3. The final group games from Tuesday to Friday.
Disaster.
I know, absolutely gutted. I've been loving it. 10 a.m. start every day.
Yeah,
it's been amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's also the end of an era in terms of World Cups because it's the final 32-team World Cup. The next one goes to 48. I don't know if I've already mentioned this on the podcast, to be honest with you. But yeah, it goes to 48 teams. There'll be 16 groups of 3 in America. America, Mexico, and Canada in 4 years' time. 16 groups with 3 with the top 2 going through, so there's an extra knockout round. Don't know. Get ready for some more 6-0s and 7-0s. I can tell you that right now. There'll be some right crap qualify for that tournament.
Yeah, but they'll have paid a lot of money to old Gianni there, and he'll be sat on his yacht.
Very true.
In Miami, or wherever he moors it, and they're lapping up the sun, won't they?
He'll need a hat with that head, though.
Yeah, he'll need a hat because he's ginger as well. So he's obviously
ginger as well. Yeah, you're right.
He's going to catch sun really badly, so he's going to need to be careful. But he won't need that well cash rolling around in his bank account, will he?
Yeah. Richard Brown says Canada looked good, but no end product. David Pierce says, as with America, watch Canada in 4 years. Home World Cup, very true. Young team who will both develop over the next 4 years. Could be the first ones from North America. Maybe a bit too far, but I agree.
Certainly the first semi-finalist from North America, I think, in 4 years' time.
I could see that. Especially being hosts. They should get a
we're talking about Canada or USA?
Both.
I'm sorry, but I'm not saying that with USA at all. I'm just not.
They're missing a striker big time. They've got no up top. Very, very, very top.
They're a bang average international side. Bang average. For me, they've got it now. Now, I'm in the 4 years' time. I might be sat here looking like a complete fart. Well, more of a fart. But now Canada, maybe, because I can see that the way that they play, the way that they set up, the way that they approach games, they're positive. They've got pace. They've got ability. Tactically, they're streets in front of USA. Streets in front of them tactically. The issue is, as has been pointed out there, they couldn't hit a bull's arse with a shovel. Once they get that, say again,
and they can't defend apparently either.
Well, you said that. I mean, that, again, like I said, today I think is probably a bad example of that. They were chasing game, weren't they? So, it's better side for me, or certainly from a potential point of view.
Fair enough. Right, let's go back to England. Let's talk about the Wales game, which is obviously Tuesday at 7 p.m. The maths are pretty simple. Don't lose 4-0 and England are through. It's as simple as that. But obviously we lose. There's a good chance we won't top the group, but we will still be through. What do Iran sit on 3 points? America sit on 2 points. But obviously Wales are on the singular. Our goal difference is significantly better than everybody else's, which is obviously why that'll put us through. If we draw and Iran win, Iran will top the group. We'll be second. We can draw, and if we draw and America win, again, we will then probably still top the group. So there's a few bits and bobs to move up and around. Danny, can you see us losing 4-0 to Wales?
I mean, from what this World Cup's produced so far, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I could see Wales maybe completely finessing us and nicking them 1-0, but I can't really see us losing by 4 or more for that sort of swing. I can't see it happening, to be fair. Maybe a draw or a loss if we really don't turn up, but certainly not 4-0. I can't see that happening now. So Wales are a little bit cooked at the minute, aren't they? Oh dear.
Big time. It's hilarious. It's only reason it's hilarious because how much spouting they've been doing. If we wouldn't have heard anything from them, it's a bit like Scotland. I'm not that bothered. It's like Donny for us. It's funny to laugh at them hurt, but I'm not that bothered about them until they start piping up. Then it's time to sort of stick the knife in. The good thing is they've got to come at us. They can't, like America sat in against us. Wales can't do that. Wales have got to go and win the game, Mick. Yeah. And that's great. They've got a bang average team. They've got a bang average team with a couple of exceptional players. So if there's more space in their defensive areas, it should be fairly comfortable.
It should be, yeah. It should be. And hopefully it will be. It depends how if we sit back like we sat back the other night, then then we might be in trouble. But the issue for me was the other night that America didn't come at us, and England seemed to have a similar sort of tactic as Rotherham United have, in that when teams sit in against us, we struggle. We struggle to break them down. Certainly last season, particularly, a la Wickham, etc. Teams that just sat in, teams that came at us, we had no issues picking them off. And I wonder whether that might be an issue from an England point of view, that any team that sits in, like America did, we just had no opportunity or no idea how to break them down. Wales won't do that to us because they've got to come out and win. So that will hopefully play into our hands. Anybody else that we play within this tournament probably will be coming out to win the game rather than just sitting in and hoping to see it out. So that should again play into our hands. I suppose you look back at the European Championships, and one of the only teams that didn't come at us were Italy. Italy did what Italy do. They just sat in, dug in, and managed to win the game ultimately, albeit on penalties, I said. But but we struggled against them. Scotland did the same to us. So maybe that is the issue. Moving on to Wales, they won't do that. Obviously, they can't afford to do that. They're going to have to come out and they're going to have to play. In which case, hopefully, we'll be able to pick them off. But if Gareth Bale decides he fancies a game before he goes home, then it'll be the first one out of the three that they've played. But it could cause us some problems. He generally does, doesn't he, when we play him? So
yeah. Well, you just don't give him a free kick. If you give him a free kick in a dangerous area, he'll pop up. If you don't, then obviously penalty. You don't give a penalty as well. England have won their last 6 games against Wales. Wales have been rubbish in the past, and it's our first ever World Cup finals meeting. Second major tournament meeting after 2016, when we obviously beat them 2-1. Was it Sturridge that got the winner in 2016?
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, in like the last kick of the game or something like that.
That was amazing.
And then didn't we lose to Iceland in the following round as well?
Yeah.
So,
We've been told about that. So
yeah, that weren't fun. But we've always got the Wales game. Yeah, don't know. What do we think, Danny? Let's go through some predictions. Well, let's go through what we think we're going to play for England. Obviously, the performance was as it is. Southgate's not normally one to buckle the pressure, to be honest with you. Press pressure or fan pressure. I'm not normally the person to do that, but I could still see him making a change or two. What do you think Southgate will do?
Yeah, I think he's going to make a few changes. I certainly think Callum Wilson may come in for Harry Kane just to give him a run out, certainly, because we've seen it at these sort of tournaments before where we've got to the second game where the squad's been the same, and it has been bang on the same these last 2 games. So yeah, I think he's going to swap Callum Wilson in just to give him a run out. Maybe making a change in the midfields as well. It might take Jude Bellingham out potentially, or swap and change Mason Mount potentially as well. But I think the back line is probably going to stay the same. I still think it's going to be Pickford in goal, if I'm being honest, because he's done all right and we don't really want to compromise conceding to Wales. And then, yeah, the 3 that's in front of him, or even the 4, he might change the system and bring some different players in just to try it out. But I think overall the defence is going to probably be the same as these last 2 games.
Maybe see Walker coming. I think Walker was obviously injured to start the tournament.
We might bring Maddison in as well because he's been training as well. Yeah.
I think Southgate likes to do it. If he brings something new into it, even into a squad, even if it's a qualifier, he likes to give him minutes. Because if he needs him later on in the tournament, you don't want somebody making the debut in the World Cup final, for example. That just smells danger, doesn't it? It smells pressure and danger. I think we'll see a lot of changes. Mick, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I was going to suggest dropping Kane for Wilson, and I thought I'll being just a bit too radical there and a bit too knee-jerk because I didn't think he played particularly well the other night. But I can see him dropping Harry Maguire because he had a good game the other night. So no, I'm sorry, I'm only kidding. I suspect he may shake it up a little bit. He may do. I'm not entirely sure where. For me, Mason Mount needs to come out. We need somebody with a bit more creativity in there. We don't need. We've got Declan Rice in there winning the ball, scrapping that sort of doing that dirty work in the midfield. We don't really need another one. For me, I don't think we need some more creativity, some movement off the ball. Somebody who's going to move off the ball and create some space. That's really where we struggled the other night. There was absolutely none of it at all. So I can't. Yeah, it's going to make some changes, but what they will be, I don't think it'll be Mason Mount. I think he'll start. I don't think it'll be Declan Rice. I think it's more likely to be somebody like Jude Bellingham, which I can see no rhyme or reason for, but I suspect he'll be the one that makes way for, I don't know, boring Jordan Henderson. I don't know.
Phillips or Henderson. What's trying to go with it? If I feel like if he's going to put something like Foden, he'll want to solidify midfield a bit more with Phillips or Henderson, just to give an extra layer of security, which I think he likes.
Yeah,
or it might switch to 3 at back in preparation for the rest of the tournament, because I think they get better position. Well, 3 at back, 5 at back, whichever way you want to look at it. Now that Walker looks like he's fit, he may just mix it up. We'll go 5 at back, see what happens. Don't know. I like to see Foden. So it's a good test for Foden as well. If Foden starts, it's a good test of sort of his mentality and his mental strength to not play those games. Is he going to come in and sort of sulk a little bit? Is he going to come on and set the world on fire? Interesting. Going to be very, very interesting. I'm sure. Right, you know what? I just said that. It probably won't be interesting. It's probably going to be. I'll start my prediction. I think it's going to be a very boring 1-0 England win. We'll score in the 15th minute and nothing else will happen for the rest of the game. I'll be happy with that. Don't get me wrong. That's not me being disappointed, but I'm not expecting fireworks. Danny, what do you reckon?
I'm going to have to agree with you there, Matt. I think England will probably, if they score early, that is probably just try and sit on it. But then again, I think this is going to be the same with Wales. If they try and get an early goal to upset us, they're just going to try and sit on it.
Probably.
I'm going to have to go for a 1-0 win for England, I think.
Okay. Mick?
Yeah, I think we will win, but I think they'll score as well. I think Gareth Bale will score because he just cements his legendary status amongst the Welsh people, which is not really deserving of, to be fair. 2-1.
2-1. I mean, he's one of the greatest players Wales have produced.
Yeah, he is. He's also one of the laziest, and that's inexcusable. We talked about it many, many times, haven't we? You know, to have that level of talent but can't be asked to use it is just it's not good enough, is it? It's not right. So
what I like about doing these podcasts here, we don't have to worry about getting picked up by an opposition podcast.
Yeah.
If you said about Barry Bannon, for example, that'd be all over Twitter within 20 minutes.
Yeah, but Barry Bannon's completely the opposite. He's got the talent and he uses it, and he's got the determination, the drive, the fight to fight for cause. I know he's a Scotsman, so he's going to. But I don't care. That's not the point, is it? You know, if Gareth Bale had Barry Bannon's commitment, he would have been one of the best players in the world. No question.
Was briefly.
Yeah, briefly when he could be asked. Not good, and that's the point, isn't it?
I suppose.
Just saying.
He was.
I know it's an England podcast, but it's an England /Rotherham United podcast, and here's me raving about a Sheffield Wednesday / Scotland player.
Oh, weird that.
Can miss boat a little bit, haven't I? Miss point a bit.
Yeah. There we go. Any other moments or topics we've not filled our normal time, to be honest with you, but that's because England were terrible.
I think the refereeing standard has continued to be pretty high. Personally,
I thought refs were good.
Yeah, across most of the games that I've seen, I'm sure some people will be able to pick out some iffy decisions, but I think but also I think the VAR support of the referees has continued to be pretty poor, quite honestly. So that's something for Mr. Collini to start to continue to work on. As the tournament progresses, they're going to have to get better and more consistent.
There had been this rumour that the FIFA had not taken any English referees as some sort of kick in the face, but then Michael Oliver refereed this morning, first game today. So I don't know where that rumour came from. Yeah, he refereed whoever were 10 o'clock game, refereed that.
All right.
So, and Anthony Taylor's scheduled to referee a game tomorrow, apparently, as well. So I don't know where that rumour came from, and FIFA have just gone, oh, well, have that. And put some Englishmen in it. I don't know. Weird. I did see a story about it on Saturday morning, I think. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought? Media reporting nonsense. Crazy. There we go. Danny, anything else you want to talk about today? England, World Cup, Rotherham related? Anything you've got?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Like I said, we'll be back Monday evening this week for a watch along. Basically, it's the FA Cup draw, 7 p.m. start on television, so that's when we'll start, and then we'll go through the draw as it happens. Joy from London Millers will be joining us as well for her first appearance on the podcast.
Hey.
So yeah, please do join us on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you want. That won't be going out of the podcast. That will be just on the night, and then we'll be back on Thursday to talk about England's probable qualification. When we
Matt.
Well, if we lose 4-0 to Wales, I think we should all just not support England ever again, because that would just be the worst thing that's ever happened to English football, wouldn't it? If anything worse had happened, would be losing 4-0 to Wales to knock us out of the World Cup. I can't think of anything worse. That's worse than losing to Iceland.
Tearing it up, mate. He's just tearing it up here and there. And old Garrett's going to be just fastening up his man bun now, ready to tap it in from 6 inches. If he can be bothered.
Yeah.
I think I'll turn into some of those jealous Scottish fans. How they'll support every team that faces England. I'll do the same with Wales if Wales knock us out. Yeah. Every team that Wales face, I'll support them instead.
For the rest of my life, not just for the World Cup, forever. Yeah, we can't go out to them. Anyway, let's move on. No, let's not move on. Let's leave. Thank you, everybody, for being with us tonight. Please subscribe on YouTube if you are watching on YouTube, or iTunes, Spotify if you're audioly listening. Please follow us on Twitter and Facebook if you are, and don't forget to follow us Monday evening for some proper Rotherham chat, which I'm really looking forward to. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Danny. It's been a pleasure to see you, mate.
Yep, no worries. Got here in the end, didn't I?
Yeah, exactly. And Mick, it's always good to have a moaning Englishman on an English.
Well, you know,
so perfect.
Hey, I try and provide some balance.
Yeah, you did that very, very well. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Right, we'll see you all next time. Thank you very much.
See ya.
Bye.
Ravel, ambitious, but brilliant. Mule with it. Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. The magic man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done.